All set.
All right, it's October 19th, 2021, 7:30 p.m. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Members present: Andy Marco, Doug Roberts. I saw John Tehan, and we're going to seat Lori Semperbon for Bob Shabbat. Let's see, no applications to be received tonight, no public hearings. Item E, new business. A, 824, Town of Willington, 824 review, Town of Willington easement to allow the construction of a septic system on the town green.
So this one I got obviously from the first selectman's office. The town is in the process of going through all of the in obtaining the necessary approvals for installing a septic system for the old town hall. The property itself doesn't have any space for the septic, so it needs to be installed in the town green. And the Department of Public Health required that the town, even though it's the owner of all the land, provide an easement for that. And so before they can actually grant the easement, it requires an 8-24 review by this commission. So that's basically why this is in front of you. I don't have a plan yet because they're still going through the approval process, but the idea is that it would have to be run under the road and onto the town green.
That was one of my question was, would it affect vehicle size being able to go over that road?
I don't believe so, because the easement language that I read is just related to being able to have and utilize the septic. It doesn't put any restrictions on anything. So I would imagine.
So they'll just have pipes going underneath that are strong enough to.
And they'll be low enough.
Yeah.
So the main reason is because they have no other options because of the size of the property the town hall sits on.
Yeah. There's no place to get one in that complies with the state public health code. I'm trying to see if I can just bring it up here.
So this is kind of expensive because they're going to have to redo part of the road and, you know.
Yeah, I don't know entirely what the funding is. I don't know if this was already appropriated as part of town meeting or if there's a grant or how that's being done. Let me see here. Here we go. 2019. Let me share my screen. I mean, you guys are obviously all familiar with the town green, town hall.
Yes.
But this is the property, obviously number 11. And as you see over here, there's really no space. So it's just got to come under the road, and it's going to be constructed, I believe, in this area. Like I said, I haven't seen a final plan, but there's no alternative, and they're separating distances for buildings, wells, and other septic. So, you know, you start looking at the proximity of their homes. There just was no feasible location.
Yeah, it's just not a very appealing thought having a leaching field under the town green, but I guess there's no alternative. Yeah,
I agree. It's definitely not what you think of when you think about town greens.
No, well, make it greener.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the grass is always greener, right?
Yeah.
So it won't affect the use of the town green, but there will be, you know, they'll have to have access to the septic tank, you know, for pumping.
I don't know. I mean, certainly not going to affect the use as a town green. I mean, I don't think that you're going to be able to park cars and do all things like that on there.
Well, they normally don't park cars on that
now.
end. Not on that end usually. Usually it's the other end.
Yeah, so yeah, it's not good to be driving over stuff like that. But yeah, there will be once it's installed, you'll have no exterior you won't see it, obviously.
Yeah, they might have to have that marked in some way though, because sometimes people do use the green for things and they do put vehicles on it. And if there's no awareness of where they can't put a vehicle,
I mean, we'll
Well,
certainly have,
it'd be interesting to see how this system's engineered, whether there's any above ground stuff sticking up or anything.
like vents or anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Loves can help them design the system.
It will need to be pumped out occasionally. So occasionally that we're going to lose a part of the green for the guys coming in and digging it up and pumping it out and burying it again.
well, I think they just have to be conscious of, I mean, I think whoever decides to do that, I mean, I would imagine Public Works or whatever would have to, arrange that or keep a schedule.
Well, they
or
got to put a
something.
riser in and stuff where it's easy access anyway, so.
Yeah, I just would think they'd have to be aware of what's going on in town. They're certainly not going to do it during the, flea market or something, so.
Yeah.
All right, well, there's no drawings or anything, so. I know an 824 review is usually pretty superficial that we do, but.
Yeah, I think we have to make sure that there's some way to signage or mark where cars cannot go, because during the flea market, people drive up there to bring their stuff in, and the entrance is right there on that corner. So there's got to be some way to mark where vehicles can't go.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I imagine they're planning for that. Obviously, the folks that are dealing with this, they're working with the state. So I would imagine that they're aware of that. I can certainly, when I transmit whatever you guys decide, I can certainly suggest that, as part of that, the commission felt it was appropriate that there be some plan for how users of the green will be made aware of any restrictions.
Yeah, because especially for the flea market, that would be really important.
I still wonder how they asked to do an 824 review without a plan. So
Yeah, I mean, if you
what are
want
we
to see
really
the,
doing?
if you want me to try to answer some of those questions and you want to see a plan, you can certainly hold and wait 2 weeks and I can try to hunt some of that down.
Let's do that. They're not planning on digging anytime soon, are they? We're going into winter here shortly.
I don't know the exact time frame. Everything is obviously as soon as possible, but if those are things that you want sort of hashed out or clarified, I can try to hunt that down for the next meeting.
But we're not meeting at the next meeting. That's election day.
Oh, that's right. We're going to cancel that.
Would have to go off to the next meeting after that, if it can.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, I've got a copy of the easement. That's basically just.
Yeah, I'd be hesitant to vote on it without having more details on where it's going to be. And especially if it means that the flea market's going to change their whole setup. If it's right there on the corner, that's where everybody drives in to drop off their stuff,
I'm certainly not opposed. I just would like to see what it's going to look like in the,
I
in the
agree.
location.
Yeah, I agree.
Can we, I know it's not going to buy us much time, but if you want to hold on this and maybe wait, I can try to reach out and see if I can perhaps get something between now and the end of the meeting. And if I can get something to show you, at least as some type of a plan, I don't know if I'll be able to, but I can try.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
I see Ralph's got his hand up.
I know this is not a public hearing, so I wasn't sure.
I know
if
it's not Ralph, but maybe you have something to say on the matter. What do you?
Well, just some thoughts and some observation from an engineer's perspective.
That's why I called on you, Ralph. I
Thank you.
Have that.
Number one, I don't think the septic tank is going to wind up under the green. I think it's going to wind up on the other side of the road, closer to the building. So the only thing you're going to be dealing with is a leach field. Given that this is a grass area, it may be possible to design a leach field that can withstand most automobile traffic, be it very infrequent at that end of the green. But the one thing that I'm pondering is, does the Boy Scout Hall have a bathroom? And might it make sense to accommodate both? Just a question I'm throwing
Yeah,
out here.
I don't think the town should be getting into helping to support a private organization.
Well, I don't disagree, but it's a practical matter with respect to space. And I don't know exactly what the situation is for the Boy Scout Hall behind the north of the building.
Well, I don't.
They may have the
that's-
room.
I just don't know that that's our concern, but
Well, we do have a, well, I forget the term for a wastewater oversight commission, which actually consists of the Board of Selectmen.
so where is the well located for the old town hall? Anybody know?
I don't know that, but let me.
Because if it's in the front, they couldn't put the septic tank there.
Yeah, I think that's probably where some of these design constraints have come from, but let me see what we've got here. on our
Well, I
file.
think if we see the drawing for it, it answers all our questions.
It would certainly be helpful.
It certainly would be. It's like, I don't mind doing the 824 review, but I'd like to see what I'm reviewing.
So according to the well drilling permit that was issued in 1999, it looks like the well is about 6 feet or so off the, if you're standing at the front of the building facing the green, it's about 6 feet off the front left corner there. So it's,
Okay. Second
So-
question, where's the existing leach field for it now? It's got bathrooms, so obviously there's something there. It's probably not up to modern standards, but where is it?
It's a dry well. No, I'm just kidding.
no, I mean, I'm going to see if I can show this to you. It looks like there's a tank, but I don't see the fields.
Oh, it's just a tank. It must need to be pumped pretty frequently, I would think.
And I think that's why not a lot happens there, but I don't know. All right, so here's the town hall. See
Okay,
this existing well.
yeah,
And so once everybody's looked at that, I'm going to pause and go to the other document, which shows the well drilling report.
The property card says the Boy Scout Hall is owned by the town, which I always thought it was.
So this is the well drilling report from 1999. And so you'll
Okay.
see in the front the well, and then you'll see a 90-foot distance, and then it's showing the septic tank, which comes off the back. Generally,
Okay.
you'll see leach fields there. I'm not suggesting that if there aren't any, if they're not shown, there aren't any, but it looks like whatever's there now is off the back.
And it, like we used to have a place on Coventry Lake, and they all had septic systems, and boy, some of those were really just crammed right in there. And so this, maybe they didn't have as many regulations about septic tanks back then, and to replace it, there's just a whole lot more that they have to consider than they did back in '99.
I'm not seeing anything else that's really of any kind of value.
okay.
Yeah, I believe Andy's correct about the ownership of the Boy Scout Hall. Boy Scouts of America is listed as co-owner. Town of Wellington is primary owner.
Okay,
Well, it would seem to make sense to tie them together.
hey, Mike, refresh my memory. What's the authority in an 824 review? on us other than
So
functory look
The,
over this.
the statute says that anytime the town is basically doing anything with roads, land, sale, easement, any of this stuff, that before the legislative body makes a decision, it has to be referred to the commission here. If you guys do not make a favorable review, if you don't review it favorably, then they can still go forward with the project, but it requires a super majority vote of whatever body is approving, right? Town council or whoever town it is. So you can do a negative referral and they can still move forward with the project. The purpose of the review is to make sure that whatever they're doing, which in most cases, roads, acquisition of land, is not in conflict with anything within the POCD. That's the main purpose of the review.
So a septic leaching field under the town green isn't really in our POCD, but
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess my perspective is I just like to see what it's going to look like. That's all. Yeah,
Okay, well, I just made a quick call, so if you want to wait, let's try to move through. There's not really much else on the agenda. Just
well,
to
we have the
see,
one lot subdivision. Have we heard anything about that?
I think.
I'm here.
Yep, Russ is
Okay.
here.
Why don't we
I'm
move
here.
on to that? Then we
Okay.
can circle back if we need to.
Sure.
So item F, unfinished business, TZ-21-15, one lot re-subdivision, 32 Hancock Road, applicant Russ Heinz.
You got him.
All right,
Is
so
Mike here?
what did Russ owe us, Mike?
So he submitted a revised plan and he submitted the appraisal report because in order to determine the fee in lieu of open space, we needed an appraisal. So I pulling up the appraisal report now just to get get the value, and then we can
39.
use
39,000.
the property value was 39,000.
Yep.
So do you think you can quickly, Russ, go over just to outline to the commission, if I share with them your revised plan, if you can just kind of show them or walk them through what revisions you made?
Okay, for the record, I guess, Russell Heinz, preparer of the plans, and I'm representing Tom View LLC. I think I said that right. But anyway, what your town engineer asked us to do was to move the well, which we did, put it in the center of the lot in the back, so it doesn't interfere with either lot to the left or the right. For whatever reason, when I drew the map, I forgot to put the bearing and distance in the new lot line that goes down the middle of the property, which I added. I did add the silt fence. I added the signature block that was required. I signed and sealed the plans, which Mike still doesn't have. I got originals here in my hand, but I got to get them to the town for you. But they are signed and sealed. One of the things that they asked us to do was to tie in the vertical and horizontal control into, I want to say, whatever you want to call it, the CGS 89 and 84 datum. And what I have done, I think we talked about this in the last meeting, I did pretty much all the surveying from Ruby Road all the way down to this property based on mapping that was done prior to my beginning of this, which is on the map references, and that's all tied into that base. So I asked that we don't tie into that. And as far as the horizontal or the vertical control, I used just an assumed datum for all those 3 lots that I did before prior, and I just tied my lot into the same thing. And I think Mike kind of said we probably could waive that. And then as far as the other thing they asked that, I had the soil types, which I really didn't. We did soil testing for this lot, and that's what we based this design on. So other than that, I really, for one lot, if this was a 5-lot, 10-lot subdivision, I'd have done everything that the town engineer asked for, because it makes more sense. But this is just, basically, I just drew a line between this property and made this parcel work. So I do believe that I comply. I'm done. You still there?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we're here.
Okay. Mike, do you think I answered all the questions?
Yeah, I was just going through the document. Let me pull up that's all the stuff that I had on my notes, but I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything from Joe. Okay, plan review. So subdivision satisfies, we talked about open space. He mentioned the well, mentioned the bearing, sediment and erosion controls he added. And did you add a driveway detail?
Oh. No,
Okay, that's not a big deal.
but
We have this signature block is there. They'll be signed and sealed. Yeah, so the only thing that I see is the driveway detail. So we can add that that can be a conditional.
sure, I mean, that's pretty simple, but yeah, you're right. Sorry about that.
Okay. Okay. That's all. That's everything that was outstanding on the plan review.
So that's all he owes us right now is just the driveway detail, and you're gonna write that in as a condition?
Yep. I have, yeah, basically 3 working conditions that based on what we talked about. I don't know. Go
May
ahead.
I ask a question, Mike?
Yeah,
When this original subdivision was put in, is there an open space section, and where is that located with these 2 properties?
so this is, this has already had a free cut, but it's not part of a subdivision. So it's
Okay,
not a
so in other words,
re-subdivision.
it was part of the original, but it doesn't involve these 2 lots.
Right, so we're
Okay,
only dealing
alright.
with what's on the map.
Okay, thank you.
So Mike, can we put a motion together incorporating what your
Yep, let me share my screen.
conditions are?
Share. So way that we do this now, a copy of the approval certificate shall be incorporated into the final plans prior to the development of the final set of Mylar. So the idea here is he's going to get his approval. It's going to show that it was approved, and it's going to have the conditions, and he's going to take that and include it as part of the subdivision map so that when it gets filed, we know when it was approved, we know what the conditions were, it's all there. The driveway detail, a driveway detail shall be added to the final plan prior to the development of Mylars, and an open space fee in the amount of $3,900 shall be paid prior to the sale of any lots, and the note shall be revised on the plans to include the open space fee amount. So he already has, the plans already indicate that it's subject to an open space fee. So I just want him to include the amount. And our regulations say that it's 10% of the total value, not to exceed 10%. So that's where the 39 comes from. And
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve PZ 21-15. One
I'll
lot
second.
subdivision at 32 I'm gonna read the whole thing into the record in a second. On 32 Hancock Road, applicant Russ Hines project, subject to the following conditions. One, a copy of the approval certificate shall be incorporated into the final plans prior to the development of the final set of Mylars. Two, a driveway detail shall be added to the final plan prior to the development of Mylars. Three, an open space fee in the amount of $3,900 shall be paid prior to the sale of any lots, and the note shall be revised on the plans to include the open space fee amount. And I think John seconded.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Yeah, all right.
All right, anything, Mike, back to the 824?
see. No, I don't have anything.
Well, let's look at it this way. How's the rest of the commission feel about this? Does the other commissioners feel they want to see a drawing or not?
I would like to see what the plan is, and I would like some feedback on, you know, if it's going to affect events that are there because people can't drive on it, or they're planning to make it extra sturdy, or whatever the issue is. I mean, I think it's fine. The town hall needs a septic, and I think it's fine to have it there, but I just feel, I don't feel super comfortable voting on it with just kind of a vague, we're gonna put this thing in.
All
We
right,
just don't know
I'm
where
of
it
the
is.
same, thought, but I want to see what the others think
Yeah.
too. Andy, what do you think?
When is our next meeting?
It was going to be on election night, but obviously we're not going to do that.
According to the statute, if this, we have 35 days after the proposal to make a decision. If we don't make a
Okay.
decision in 35 days, it's automatically approved. That makes it November 23rd. We'd have to approve it by then. If we're not
We're
gonna
good
have a
then.
meeting, if we're not gonna have a meeting before then, we probably gotta do something.
Isn't the
I think-
meeting on the 16th?
Yeah, we should have
Yes.
a meeting on the 16th.
Well, let's
Yes,
make sure
or we
it's
could
on
even
the
have a
agenda.
special meeting if it was holding anything up, so it's
Yeah, no, I
not.
mean, the 16th
Yeah.
is fine. We could wait.
Right.
I think everybody's thoughts were, I mean, my first thought was compaction on a leach field's bad. Ralph kind of weighed in on that, and I trust his judgment. He feels the amount of cars parked at that end of the that eastern side of the green is minimal, and probably foot traffic probably doesn't do much to a leach field. And again, I think if there's an existing septic tank, you don't usually move that, so that's probably going to stay. And it would just be the evaporative nature of the leach field. It has to be put somewhere else. Because what, you gotta have a leach field, plus you have to have a reserve. I assume that.
Well, they're gonna put a new tank in, I would assume, probably a
Yeah.
larger one than that, whatever the old one is.
They probably wouldn't move it
Yeah.
really far away from the building. So they have room for the septic. It's like Ralph said, it's the leach field. That's the space problem. So
Except they
Yeah.
don't have room for the tank because the well is there.
but that was already cited. So that's not in conflict now.
Now, the existing tank's way around the back side of the building.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense to have it there and then send the leaching field probably to the
No.
town green.
Maybe you gotta do a pump. You gotta do a macerator or something. I don't know.
That's why I'd be interested to see what the plan is.
Yeah, it would be. No, I don't disagree with that at
Right.
all. Yeah, as long as
I
we have
said-
time,
Keeps leading us back to the plan. I think we'll wait for the plan.
I think we have to. I agree
Doug,
with
do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right, Mike.
All right, so I will let them know.
Mike,
that-
can I ask one more question?
Mhm.
Did they not consider an engineered septic for a smaller, I know those are more expensive, but at the lake, man, they put in septics in these little tiny spaces if they're engineered, but they are more expensive.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with how they have gotten here. I'm inclined to think this is something related to a grant or something along those lines. But they're working with a professional engineer, and like I said, the Department of Public Health, Sean Merrigan, I think is the one doing this work with them. So I'd imagine they've gone through some of that stuff, but I'll relay this to them. If we get to a point where they're like, got to get this done, then we can talk about trying to get a special meeting together just to make this happen.
I'm not opposed to that. That'll be a brief thing if we have to do it. So I don't know. I think it's a fair question though, to see what we're even talking about.
Yeah.
I agree. We have to do our due diligence. Again, they don't need us to move forward, but we have to do our due diligence based on our, our internal chart.
It's just hard to speak intelligently about something unless you actually see what's being proposed.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Walter. I agree with you.
Yep. All right, so I think we got that one covered. Approval of minutes, October 5th, 2021. Anyone want to make a motion on that?
I move to approve the minutes, October 5th, 2021.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, correspondence, doesn't look like there's any.
Didn't we have another minutes to approve, September 21st or something?
Yeah, but they're not on here. What's going on with that one, Mike?
I thought it was on.
Didn't I email them?
Yeah, but I don't see it on the approval of minutes.
Oh, well, it's not a special meeting, so you can just add it to the agenda to be approved. Sorry about that.
All right, so someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we add approval of the, is it September 21st minutes?
Second.
All in
Is that the right
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So public comment. The commission will hear brief comments at this time from anyone wishing to speak. No business can be conducted here, nor can any comments be made about any items on the agenda. Anyone from the public have any comments? Doesn't look like it.
Walt, can I just interject? I think we
Yes.
made a motion to
Add them to the
approval of the-
agenda, so we have to go back and approve them.
Yes.
Okay.
now we have to go back to approve them. Okay.
All right, someone want to make a motion to approve the minutes of September 21st?
I so move.
Okay,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, minutes approved. Staff report and discussion. A review of affordable housing plan project components.
So let me just see if I can bring this up to show you. So what we did is put together a just kind of an outline of the sort of main components of the plan and the kind of the subcategories of what we'll explore, sort of generally speaking, and then the rough timeframes. So let me see if I can make this big enough for you to look at. Okay, share. Okay, so there will be, 6 basic sections. So we'll talk about what is affordable housing. We'll talk about the requirements, what the town has to do. We will include sort of a review of the definitions and then the differences between attainable housing and affordable housing. So we want to talk about the capital A, affordable housing, which is 8-30G, but we also want to dig in a little bit to how housing can be made more attainable in Willington generally, right? So even if it's not deed restricted as affordable, we want to make sure that since Willington is predominantly a residential community, that housing remains attainable. So that's the first kind of section, and what, that's a little bit of, again, the data-driven stuff. The second piece is sort of what's the town's current status. So what are the current demographics and trends related to housing stock, affordability, how many residents in Willington are cost burdened, which means they're spending more on their housing than they should be. And so again, really looking at taking the temperature of where Willington is now from a housing market perspective to get an idea of what its issues will be. Maybe all the housing units which are affordable and restricted now, or the deed restrictions are due to expire in 2 years, and then we'll have none. Maybe there's something else that's causing housing prices to become more expensive. That's, not related to, local tax or, so we'll look into some of those things to get a sense of where we are. And then we'll look into what the need is. So what's the current and projected need over the next 5 to 10 years? Because again, this plan is only for a 5-year period. It's very short duration. So we'll look at what the need looks like for the next, 5 to 10 years based on the demographics. And I forgot to mention, the other thing we'll do is a community survey. So that will be to try to figure out, what are folks' opinions on housing and housing types? What are their feelings about the housing stock and price and availability in Willington? What is their perspective, and how educated is the population in town as a whole on affordable housing? And that will really help us figure out from a policy perspective at the end whether or not we need to do a lot of education, because people don't really know that, for example, Button Hill is affordable housing and qualifies, or does everybody get it and they all agree this is a great idea, and we just have to figure out how to get there. We'll also look at the POCD and the zoning regs and, permitted uses and densities and other things to get a sense of if the regulatory structure in Willington is creating a barrier, or if it's encouraging these things. Is anything making it so that this stuff can't happen? And then we start looking at goals. So number one, how do we get to that 8-30G target, which is 10%? And then how do we start increasing the attainability of housing generally? How do we either maintain affordability if the data shows that, generally speaking, housing is affordable? Or how do we work to make more affordable but not deed restricted affordable housing available for folks as they want to downsize, age in place, and live close to family or whatever. So we'll look at, in the last section, the implementation steps to get there, and other partners and things that either the town can do, or that we can work with developers to do, or that regionally can happen, so that projects like Button Hill, if everybody agrees, maybe we ought to try to figure out how to get another one, or something along those lines. We can dig into how we can get there.
What's the current definition of affordable, Mike?
So it's a bit of a sliding scale because it depends on who we're talking about. But generally speaking, you take the area median income, and then you take 80% of that, and you go to 30% of that. So HUD defines area median income. And I can probably do this, tell you what an affordable housing unit cost would be. 1 second. But it's got to be within that adjusted limit based on those numbers for the household type. And then it also has to be deed restricted for 40 years. So, some towns are actually finding that they have a significant amount of housing stock that falls within that category, right? It's below the threshold, but it's not deed restricted, which means, obviously tomorrow, the landlord or whoever could jack the rates up. So let me see.
So deed restricted means the rent's controlled.
It's deed restricted so that the cost does not exceed 30% of 80% of the area median income. Yep. So that could be rental, or it could be a CHFA mortgage or a VA loan. So there are, and I can tell you how many we have. Just pull it up. These stupid housing. Here we go. Connecticut, Willington. Okay, so. Wellington. I'm going to do this math here really quick, but don't quote me on this because math is not my strong suit. Okay, so it looks like the 80% AMI. So area median income for Willington is, according to what I'm looking at here, 97,000. So based on that, we want to do
Is that that's family medium income, correct?
Yes. Because so that's the scale slides a little bit depending on the household size. So obviously a deed restricted unit for one person versus a family of 6, it's a little bit fluctuating.
So if we're going to take 30% of 80% of 97,000,
right?
That comes out to 23,280. Divide that by 12. Your monthly rent can't exceed 1940. Does that make sense?
It seemed a little high, but yes, that seems right, based on some of the other towns numbers that I was looking at prior to. So all right, so here's another table. Let me just verify it. So for Willington, 80%. Yeah, so this one comes out of the state, which is a HUD income chart. So 80% AMI, the East Hartford metro area. It's saying the 80% AMI for one person is 54,950. So again, it is a little bit of a fluctuating scale, but if you took 30% of that, you'd probably bring it down a little bit. And let me just tell you the other thing about the okay, so Willington has currently, as of this past year when they made the list, we have 2,637 total units, total housing units, dwelling units in town. 160 of them are considered to be government assisted. So, and then 5 and 37. So 5 of them are rental assistance and 37 of them are CHFA or USDA mortgages. So we have just over 200 units total, and that equates to roughly 7.6% affordable housing. So we're 3.5% below target. So we do have, at least the 37 units are single family homes likely, because there are people that hold mortgages. And then the 160 would be the various, higher density developments. So sort of just, again, giving you an overview so that you kind of have a sense of what we're tasked with and what we'll be doing. And if anybody has questions or feels like something is missing, we can include it. This is definitely fluid. But this is the sort of the nuts and bolts of what based on the state's guidance for what an affordable housing plan should include. This is where that approach came from.
Okay, I understand. Any questions from the commission on any of it? Guess not. All right. Anything else, Mike?
Not that I have, nope.
Okay. See, it's 8:16 PM, meeting adjourned.
Okay.